Welcome back, everybody. Road Less Traveled podcast, and we are here in the midst of the wildness, getting through. I'll tell you, this podcast has been quite the journey, hasn't it?
Yes, it has.
People have no idea how much of a journey it's actually been. Let me tell you what.
It's been wild, and as we move forward, we face new challenges. There is a pandemic happening right now all over the world with a virus called the coronavirus, and it's everywhere and it's very contagious. And people like you, Kristen, and my sisters, I even made a post about this, are on the front line because you guys work in the health industry, in the healthcare industry. So, you know, while, the memes have been, quirky and the stuff's been going around, what we're seeing is that it's getting more and more and more and more serious as the days go on. And not only is it affecting small businesses and crashing the stock market and volatile real estate and all these kinds of things, but you continually have to face the pandemic head on because you are a healthcare worker. So why don't you maybe talk a little bit about what you're dealing with right now?
Yeah, so it's always kind of been a little bit of a joke that when you work in the healthcare system, it doesn't matter what schools are closed, it doesn't matter events canceled, whatever, you're going. You go in, you find a way in, you find some way to get there. With all of this, it's been a different ballgame. We're used to trying to deal with trying to get to people when it's weather related or, things like that. But now we've got this virus that's being spread all over, that's highly contagious. And we live in Northern Virginia where we've had a number of cases. And there was actually one that they discussed that was that they just said here, 2 days ago, down in the hospital right down the street from us.
Yikes.
And I go into some of the hot spots here in Northern Virginia, so like if I have to stop to use a bathroom, if I have to, get gas or anything like that, my husband loves the idea of me bringing it home. But it's scary, but we do because our patients need us. I'm not one of the nurses that are on the front lines of all of this. But I do, I am a therapist and I do home health, and, our patients are people who are coming out of the hospitals, and they're people that, are in a tough spot right now. And so they need us. And so we're trying to take every possible precaution so that we can keep getting to them, giving them the care that they need, and I know actually right before I jumped on here, because I had lost track of time because I had just gotten an email with all this big list of, all the things that we're going to start putting into practice for ourselves.
Right. New protocols and stuff, right?
Absolutely. It started out with, they just, wanted us to take our temperature every morning just to make sure that we weren't carrying it without having, and not showing symptoms. So I've been taking my temperature every morning, and now it's gotten to a point where there's, I think it's some link that I have to go on every morning before 10 o'clock in the morning before I see my first patient. I have to answer a bunch of questions about, my health and everything else. And then every patient that I go to their door, I have to ask, a series of questions before I can even enter their house, because we're trying to protect, because I'm going in and seeing the people who are most vulnerable for this, and we don't know where family members have been. We don't know where, and we don't know where all exactly it's spreading. We have, these ideas of where more people have tested positive, but, so it's a very scary situation. And, I'm getting a lot of tough questions, which has been very hard too, because, we are the ones in the healthcare that are going out to see them. And it's, well, can my
people expect you to know everything.
Yeah. And it's just, they're so scared too. And it's like, well, can my grandkids come visit me? Well, it depends on what types of situations they've been in. If they've, if they're showing any of the things, cough, a fever, a sore throat, don't let them come. As much as it's as hard as it is, it's it's that population that's the most at risk right now, and I'm getting questions of, do I cancel my doctor's appointments? Because I don't want to go out and take the chance of running into people, or, other people being in the offices. And, it's just, the advice right now is, if it's a doctor's appointment, call your doctor's office, see if they have things in place. Let them decide whether they think, based on what's been going on with you, whether you need to actually come into the office and be seen, or whether they can postpone you maybe a little bit. It's just, right now we just have to protect people. And again, the biggest thing is, it's not going to affect me. It's not going to affect my husband. It's not going to affect you too much. It's going to be just like, we just got sick, but it's
Right.
the people that we can carry to that are the most vulnerable. And especially for someone like me, who's working with this very vulnerable population.
And
So,
that's the scary thing about it. And I think, like I said, I mean, we're Americans with our phones and our, our little networks and all this kind of stuff, and the internet and social media. And so it was kind of funny at first, while we joked around, but as things got more serious, and I don't mean it was funny in like a negative way either. I mean, it was just, memes and all this kind of stuff. And there were a couple people on my page that were like, be careful, be careful, be careful. And now that it's gotten super serious, and it's in the United States and it's spread all over the world, and we've seen how contagious it really is, we're all kind of like, uh-oh. Well, it's not really all that funny anymore.
no.
And I think that we as Americans think, oh, well, that can't happen to me. I remember being really young and thinking, oh, well, this or that or the other thing, that won't happen to me, or this or that or the other thing. Well, that can't happen to me or anyone I know. And I remember being a freshman in high school, and I was actually just talking to this guy's brother the other day. Adam Bunderin is his brother's name. He's on my Facebook page. And his brother, Matt, was in my high school class. And in the first 2 weeks of high school, he was trying out for football, and his ribs broke, and they found cancer in his body. And by the middle of the year, freshman year in high school, we lost Matt. He passed away from cancer. And it was always one of those things where, like, you always think, I mean, that can't possibly happen to me, or that can't possibly happen to anyone I know. And I mean, we were 14 or 15 years old. And I mean, it was an eye opener,
Yeah, I
for
mean,
the
I think a lot
school
of
and for the
people,
community. And I mean, this kind of stuff is real.
yeah, I think a lot of people, think we're America. We're not some third world country where, we don't have the medical system that can handle things like this and everything. But, unfortunately, we only have so many hospitals. We only have so much equipment. We only have so much to handle, so much of the population getting this. But I think one of the best things that I actually saw today was somebody had posted somewhere saying that, I hope that what this does is, when we finally get back to normal, when we finally get back to our normal society, that people no longer take advantage, or, people really recognize what it means to get to hug a friend, to shake hands with strangers, to go out and get your groceries and not have to be worrying, to go to a movie, to go to a concert, to, attend church, because now even churches, are canceling services, because they don't want big groups. But, it's that everybody's hoping that, when we come through this, you recognize the things that we've gotten so used to taking advantage of, and really, have taken for granted for a while. I think that this is going to put a lot of perspective for people.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. And I think that when I said, being funny and all this kind of stuff, that's kind of what I meant, is that we've got so much great stuff, and the economy has been so strong for 11 straight years or so, through the through the two Obama administrations, and through this Trump administration has been awesome. Yeah, I've been traveling all over playing music, and I know real estate people that have blown up their portfolios. And now, all of a sudden, this thing kind of comes out of nowhere, and, everybody's small businesses are in jeopardy. Restaurants are now shut down. They're trying to survive on pickup and delivery and stuff, but people don't want to leave, right? Certain cities, I mean, San Francisco is shut down.
Well, I think that I saw that New
That's like
York
unheard
here,
of.
I think New York within the next 48 hours is talking about making a decision of a stay in place policy where they aren't going to let people out. So we don't
It's
know what this is going to all turn into. And that's, I think, the scariest part.
Yeah, it's definitely serious, and it's definitely something that's like we talked about. It's highly contagious, and I think that my friend's sister, actually, my friend Matt Brock, who's a good friend of mine, his sister in Ohio got this coronavirus and had a high fever and got really sick, and like her heart was beating real fast, and she did go to the ER, and everything is okay. She is in recovery, but it scared her, I think. And so I think that was the first thing that I saw about a week ago where I was like, oh man, you know what I mean? Because I've
It's not so far
obviously,
away.
I've obviously met her and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, geez, this is wild. So, I think that we got to take precautions, but at the same time, Sky and I, we got businesses to run, and we got to really make sure that we stay on top of our health and our workouts and what we're eating and what we're putting in our system. I mean, I was traveling all week last week. I was in Vegas and I was in Phoenix, and I had a pack of multivitamins with me and protein bars and all this kind of stuff. And I went right up to my room whenever I was done with stuff. And it was weird because in Vegas, it was a ghost town. Nobody was out. Nobody was doing anything. No one was playing, the little whatever machines, slot machines. Nobody was doing anything.
Wow.
And the same thing with Phoenix. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw me. I was just walking in the middle of the street one morning on the way to the gas station, just walking in the middle of the street, and there were no cars. There was nobody around. And that's right at ASU's campus, where generally on a morning like that with 65-degree weather, it's warm and it's sunny. People are out riding bikes and running and getting coffee or drinking mimosas and having omelets or, whatever people do. And it was not the case. My friends who were putting on their event had tons of cancellations. People didn't want to travel. And, airlines are getting slammed. Stock market's getting slammed. I think that some people in the real estate sector were super confident there for a minute. I think I've noticed some of them start to buckle a little bit. The people that are like, if you're not putting your money in your assets, blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of dying down a little bit too, because if people don't have money to pay their rent, well, then it doesn't matter what assets you own, because people can't pay any money for you to keep your asset. And if people don't have money for rent, well, then those loans default after a couple. I don't know how that works, but we don't want to even go there. What I'm hoping is that over the next 2 or 3 weeks, because of the action that they've taken, which whether people think it's too little too late or whether they think it's too aggressive at this point doesn't matter, because they're taking the action, trying to do the right thing here. And hopefully this thing blows over. Hopefully we get a lot of recovered cases. Hopefully, we move back in and things start to go back up, and we start to see an increase in businesses reopening and people getting, their hours back and this and that. I mean, I can't tell you how many people have told me they're cutting hours at businesses. And, some of these people are, people that use my services and stuff like that. So it's definitely scary because, what are we supposed to do? I can't do anything about other people. I can't control anybody else. So we just need to continue to stay calm, stay efficient, and do everything that we possibly can. And Sky, what are you dealing with right now? I mean, what's going on with you?
Well, the first thing that I'm gonna say, everything came into perspective actually today when I knew that things were getting pretty bad. Is I don't know if you heard the news, but Tom Brady is no longer a Patriot.
Yeah, I did hear
So
that.
he's going to Tampa Bay of all places, and Philip Rivers is going to the Colts. So Armageddon is
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah,
That
that just
is
broke about an hour ago. So
wow.
Armageddon is officially here. So like I've been
Mm,
freaking out ever since I heard that. So that's the
yeah.
number one thing I'm dealing with right now, to be honest, is a longtime Brady fan. I am truly, truly sad that he's not gonna be a Patriot. But moving
Well,
on to other things, as far as the virus issues are concerned, it's really taken a swift punch to my face. Several different things have started going south, and that's just the reality. We're very open with this. We're very candid with this podcast about real life stuff. So for me, my umpiring, both the college side and also the high school side, are completely shut down. So I have no games to umpire, and that's kind of the thing that like gets me into some sanity during this time, because I love being able to go out on a baseball field and just be a part of that wonderful sport that I've lived for with my entire life.
mm,
And it's like now you can't even do that. The college seasons are canceled, and it's looking like the high school seasons are going to be shut down for at least 4 weeks, and then if nothing happens within the next 2 weeks, they're just going to cancel it altogether. Rec ball, because they're talking about preparing till August and September, whatnot, that might get canceled. So I've only done 3 baseball games this year. Like that's not even, I didn't even get paid for those. They were just scrimmages to get back into the flow of things. So I might not even umpire another baseball game this season. And that to me is
mm.
that's a true heartbreaking thing for me. As far as monetary wise, that's kind of on the low end of stuff, but it's still something that I do to, like I say, keep my sanity, get me out of the house, get me away from work, and just have some fun, help kids develop, and just just have fun. As far as business is concerned, mentioning with real estate, we're in the mode now of where as wholesalers, as investors, as buyers and stuff, you really don't know who to really listen to. You got some people on one side that are saying keep going, go even harder towards what it is that you're going to be going after, and then you have the other side that says hold your ground. As far as wholesaling is concerned, don't be calling people, don't be a dick, basically. And then there's the middle ground where you want to take both avenues of it. For me, I'm kind of in the middle of it right now, because I know I have to push hard, but at the same time, I've been calling some people since this has been going on, and some of the responses I've been getting are those responses are, how in the world can you call us during a time of this crisis and blah, blah, blah and stuff. And, after you hear it a couple of times, you really do wonder, should you really be doing this? And that might sound completely on the opposite side of what people think. And even as my wife is listening to it, even what she thinks, because I should just be calling and trying to get deals and so forth. But at the same time, it does kind of pull on your heartstrings a little bit, because as a business person, as the investor, you are trying to help people. It's not like I'm a sleazeball and I just want to take your house and I'm not going to give you something back for it.
Right.
I'm trying to help you a little bit, where especially the vacant people, you have a house that's you're not doing anything with it. It's basically just burning a hole in your wallet. Let me help you. Let me give you some money for that, and then I can go back on my back end and I can make a profit off of that. We both win. You lose a house, but you gain monetary value because we're going to pay you for it. So there's
Right.
that. But it's like I say, it's slowing down a little bit because of the virus and the effects and so forth. So I kind of have to rearrange what it is, how I'm going to talk to people, being a little bit more genuine, perhaps maybe come up with a different little bit of a script, or carrying a little bit more and so forth, which I'm fine with. So there's
Right.
that. So there's that aspect. Then also with this podcast, and for those that haven't been listening or blah 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 or just knew this, our intentions were to launch a coffee company, which was supposed to be happening relatively soon. We have all of the bags are ready, like the logos are ready, like everything is basically ready for it. The only problem is distribution. Well, the problem with that is the distributors that we're going to be using, they're cutting back almost half of everything that they're doing. So their supply line is running shorter. Their people that put everything together for the packaging, they're not nearly there as much and stuff. And so that has set us back even more as to when we can get that actual product out for you guys to be able to try it, to get it to the right people, to make it an official launch, possibly even a pre-launch, whatever the case is. And it's just very frustrating that we have all these things that are in line, and it's like all of them are just like they're wiped out in an instant, or they're completely taken off a different course. And there are people that probably have it worse off than us. I'm not oblivious to that. But at the same time, it does really suck because we had big plans for a lot of stuff. And when you can't have the financial backing for the real estate to put into the coffee to make sure everything goes as planned, it's a kick in the nuts is what it is. It's as bad as Tom Brady not being a Patriot anymore. I can't stress that enough.
Well, and that's, I think, part of the reason why maybe it's time to start just pushing the podcast. We kind of talked about that beforehand. As I've kind of had the slingshot back a little bit ready to go because I wanted to market the products and stuff like that. And it's like maybe the podcast is the lifeline for this Outsider Nation coffee. Maybe our goal to release this coffee brand is reliant upon our message being strong and getting people behind it. And maybe we release a Kickstarter or something over the next month or two, and we tell people the real thing that, hey, listen, we want to fund this, we want to get you guys coffee, and we are doing it through a small business owner that is suffering. We are suffering. We're getting hit from the media department to the wholesaling department to the people that are trying to supply us to Kristen going out and trying to provide healthcare. This is what we're dealing with. And as much as we've talked on this show about overcoming obstacles, I mean, we are now pretty much facing, I don't know, it could always get worse, but this is some of the craziest stuff I've seen. And, since I was in college and 9/11 happened, I'm just going to come straight out with it. This is the worst thing I've seen since then. I think this is going to get better. I think it's going to be okay. I think we're going to pull through. I mean, we're America, we are America. We don't go down without a fight. But like you said, I mean, this stuff is real. People losing their hours and losing their jobs and not wanting to do deals and not wanting to leave their house. I mean, this is crazy. I've never seen this before. And like I said, I don't use that other example lightly. That I watched that on TV. I remember I was at Mizzou. I was in college, and I remember watching that happen and being like, holy cow, this is crazy. And so we just got to keep our heads on straight and understand that it's crazy and put that out there. And then how do we dissect this? How do we work backwards? How do we help people? Maybe the whole reason why we all did all this was so that we could use this podcast to help people first, and then the coffee came second. Maybe that's what the whole message was. I mean, we're learning as we go here. And I think that people need a voice of reason. People need hope. Because, I mean, you got people at home with their kids and their families, and they're at home. And I think that everyone's pretending maybe on social media, oh, hey, just enjoy this time with your family and everything's going to be okay. Let's just face the facts. Behind that picture, people are scared. They just don't want to say it.
I asked Sky earlier today, I said, if we would actually get quarantined and they would actually even quarantine me with being healthcare, I said, how long do you think we'd last before we'd kill each other?
Yeah, I didn't even give a straight answer because I know it's going to be relatively short, and I didn't want to piss my wife off. but tomato, tomato, mater, you know.
Mater. Mater. So
Exactly.
I think the main message of this podcast, this episode, is to just remember that, and we've said this before time and time and time again, is to just continue focusing on every little piece of progress you can make, us getting these episodes done and staying in the game and getting our head straight. I mean, this stuff, it's like therapy. I had a client, we did our show yesterday, and he was like, man, it's like when I don't do these for a week or two, it's like I get off, because it's like chatting about all this stuff and bringing everything to the surface. It's like therapy for me. That made me feel good, because I feel like I'm actually doing something good for people with all this, production skill that I've dedicated so much of my time to. So like I said, maybe our goal here with this is to just make people understand that it's okay. It's going to be okay. We're here for you. We're getting hit too. And it's important for us to start sharing this more and more and more. And I'm going to start popping the page off, because it's not about just coffee or shirts or anything. I think that will all come, but I think it's about making people understand that there is a voice of reason out there, and that you've got friends in the game that believe in you, that are dealing with similar stuff. If you're a parent, if you're a healthcare worker like Kristen or my sisters, it's like, and you got to go and you got to put your smile on and go out there and help people. It's like, man, it's hard, especially on days, weeks, months like this, where you don't know what's going on. There's a lot of misinformation out there. So you really got to sift through what you're looking at and make sure that you're getting the facts, or the best facts that you possibly can. And just like I said, stay calm and stay focused, and try and grow. And I don't think you should feel bad at all, Sky, about doing what you need to do with people's homes. I think that people are looking for somebody that they can trust. And maybe it's just time to say, hey, listen, I know you're dealing with this and this right now. I'm dealing with the same thing, and I'm calling you to help you, because now is the time.
Yeah.
Now is the time for me to provide you a solution. And this is how I found your property, and this is how I can help you. And say what you said to me, dude. Listen, I'm not some sleazy lizard. I'm just a regular dude, and I'm here to help. Because I'm gonna tell you something, most of the people I met that deal with this kind of stuff like you're dealing with are running into similar issues, and they just got to go out and they got to do what they got to do, plain and simple.
Yeah, survive it, and just switch your game up a little bit. Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
work out. Just take a
So,
little time.
Kristen, what do you got going tomorrow?
Got a full day of patience. Well, we'll see.
Nice.
Well, we're starting to get to that kind of point where it's, I'm not sure if patients are ignoring me because they're scared of me bringing the coronavirus with me, because I'm an outsider coming into their home, or whether they're
Right.
straight up ignoring me. So, I'm going to be doing a couple drive-bys tomorrow to see if they're home,
Couple drive-bys.
working on trying to see 8 tomorrow. And
Hey, did you happen to catch that? She said she's an outsider coming in. Boy, what
Yeah,
a selfish plug for that.
I like that. I like that. The outsiders. We are the outsiders. And it's a crazy thing right now, but we're getting through it. I think that what you said earlier, Kristen, was spot on, that as this continues to move through and play out, I think people are going to be very, 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 very thankful when we come out the other side, and we can look around and be like, man, everything's okay. I'm so thankful for everything I have, for toilet paper in the store or whatever it is that we
Toilet paper
take
that's not $100 a roll.
we take for granted, all this stuff like funny memes or this or that. We want to not take stuff serious, and then it is. It's like we need to understand that this stuff happens. It's happened to many generations before us, and we just got to keep fighting.
Yeah.
So, anything else on your end there, Sky?
No, the only thing hitting the phones back up again tomorrow, kind of with the new approach. That's what
Nice.
I'll be doing. And the other thing that I'll be doing is I'll be holding a private ceremony for my Tom Brady jersey here in the office. It's
I
gonna.
don't want to hear any more about Tom Brady.
I'm sorry. The man is gorgeous. The man is just incredible. Like, I love my wife, but gosh darn it, what such a sad day.
Man, I'll tell you what. I think that's it's a beautiful thing. And Kristen, I'm sorry you have to endure that, but
Yeah, please save me. I cannot be quarantined with this situation with Tom Brady right now.
well, if with him coming back, if he wins again, Sky will probably flip flop and start cheering for that team as well.
Oh yeah, because he's only in it for Brady.
Yep. I'm
Building
picking
it.
up on that. I'm picking up on that.
Hey, so what?
It's a man crush.
Yeah,
It's serious.
So what? Who cares?
It's very serious.
Seriously, who cares?
All right, everyone. Let's hope they don't get quarantined. And we pray for you. We pray for your family members. We're praying for the healthcare workers and the daycare providers. We got people that still got to watch kids while people try to go to work. I mean, it's wildness on the front lines, but there is love and hope in our hearts. We love you all, and we'll see you soon.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.